Yeah, so it's not been the practice of RP churches to do Christmas or Easter like in our worship services and in our churches. And that's because of this regulative principle, the idea that Christ has commanded us to rest and worship every Lord's Day, but he's not given us an explicit command to memorialize his birth or his resurrection in such a manner. So we are called to memorialize his death in the Lord's Supper, which is what we do. We're called to memorialize his resurrection every single Sabbath day by gathering for worship and by keeping it as a day of rest. But because those are his commands, those are the commands we follow. And the other commands we don't see scripture for. That's going to be the theological framework for now. Historically, it also has to do with not wanting to be Roman Catholic or associated with them in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, so it's actually pretty messy in the 1600s. When did it arise and what did it look like? There was a massive fight among the Puritans over Christmas. Now, to understand what's going on, you have to understand a little bit of what Christmas was like. Christmas in England in the 1620s, 30s, 40s often meant an entire month of people not working, which was really bad for society because you can't really feed a whole society on 12 months of hunger with 11 months of work. It kind of doesn't work that way. So what they would do instead of doing that 12th month of work is they would do 12 days of Christmas. They would do a month of Christmas, whatever, where they would basically go around knocking on rich men's doors and begging for food and drink. And if the rich man brought out a big old table and served them food and drink, then all would be well. They would sing to his health and they would go away. If he didn't, they would firebomb his house and steal all his food. They were drunken rioters. This is the origin of the song, "Bring Us Some Figgy Pudding," and stuff like that. It's actually a threat. It's actually...
the original Trick or Treat.
It's the original version of Trick or Treat. So when the Puritans are like, we got to get rid of this Christmas thing, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a month-long drunken festival where rich people's homes are pillaged and people just disappear from work for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. So they're not actually complaining about families getting together and exchanging gifts and having a lot of food. That's not the Christmas they're complaining about. In fact, we know that because when the Puritans threw out Christmas, they created 2 new holidays. They didn't call them holidays because they were anti-holiday. They called them Thanksgiving and New Year. And on Thanksgiving, they basically took the menu from Christmas, turkey, stuffing, potatoes, everything that any Englishman in the 1640s would have assumed was Christmas dinner. And they moved it into November and said, this will be Thanksgiving dinner. And then the whole gift-giving thing, we're not doing that on Christmas either. We'll do that on New Year's. So, in one sense, yes, they threw out Christmas. In another sense, they just divided it in half and sent it to other days and did it differently. That is then what evolved over time into a more careful and thoughtful theology. Like all things in history and human nature, it starts in a hot mess of we shouldn't be doing that, I'm pretty sure, but what should we be doing? I don't know, let's do this. And then it grows, and then it matures, and then it figures itself out. Stephen Nissenbaum has a history. The book is The Battle for Christmas.